Welcome back, guys. Go ahead and take about 4 or 5 minutes and knock out your warm-up. Okay, cool. So before we get started today, I wanted to have a couple of quick announcements, right? So this is our class goal. This is what we discussed at the beginning of the year. And my mission for you guys was essentially to get a 100% passing rate and a 30% commended rate. What that would look like is I hope none of you fail. I want at least 57 of you to get a level 2, which is passing, and I wanted at least 25 of you to get that level 3, which is commended. So this is my goal for you guys. This is where we sort of are right now. So if you notice, even though I want none of us to pass, if the STAR exam were held today, this is where I think you would end up. And if you notice, our numbers are pretty rough, right? I think 26 of you will fail unless you fix something. And I only think 19 of you will get commended unless something changes. So we're not really at our goal, right? I wanted 0 of you to fail. Unless something changes, I think 26 of you will. Okay, I wanted 57 of you to pass, but unless something changes, I only think 37 of you are going to make it. So as you work today, just remember these numbers. They're not meant to depress you. They're meant to keep it real with you so we can step our game up. Right? And of course, we've talked all year. We're trying to be diamonds. Diamonds shine, diamonds are indestructible, and diamonds are rare. I want you guys to step it up and get rid of these numbers so that I can actually say you're diamonds, okay? I often talk about swinging your machete. Now's the time to swing it like never before. And of course, we know the drill. It's hunt or be hunted, right? Like, either that STAR exam is going to eat you or you're going to eat the STAR exam. Figure out which one you want. Okay. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump into today's mission. We're going to be looking at sectionalism, and essentially you guys are going to be able to talk about the different facts about the different parts of the country during the 1820s and 1860s. Okay, so this is a new unit, so go ahead and add it to your table of contents. The Road to the Civil War and Reconstruction, page 111. You can write this title all over page 111. Okay, but let's jump into today's lesson. We're looking at sectionalism, and this will be on page 113. You can draw your line. Okay, so sectionalism, what it is, essentially it's this idea that like the different parts of our country are different, and they have different ideas, different climate, different economies. The people think different. The way I like to think about this is, imagine it like different neighborhoods in Houston, right? So you got North Side, you got Spring Branch, you got Fifth Ward, and everybody sort of believes their area is the best, right? Like you rep your hood, you rep your section. And what happens is these differences can sometimes start causing people to dislike one another, right? So like instead of saying you're from Houston, you might say, oh, I'm from North Side. Or instead of saying, you know, I'm from Houston, you might say I'm from Southwest. Or I might say I'm from Spring Branch, right? And so it can cause problems, right? This is how beefs get started, because people are loyal to their section and not just the whole entire place. So sectionalism can be bad if it gets out of control. And as you can see here, by this time our country is essentially north, south, and the newer areas, which is the west. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at the north. This picture pretty much sums it up. The north has more factories. They've got a few farms. They've already started to get rid of slavery. They have free African Americans, and they've got lots of different immigrant groups, right? So like they got Germans, they got Italians, they got Poles, right? Like they got different people. They have bigger cities, better schools, and they tend to want a stronger national government, right? The north is also a lot more rich. Here's one of the northern leaders. His name is Daniel Webster. He's from Massachusetts. He's a senator, and he's all about strong national government, right? So he supports stronger national government. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the West. The West is sort of a mix of North and South, right? So they have farms and factories. Their nickname is like the new breadbasket, because they're the ones growing grain now. And a big thing for them is freedom, right? Imagine the West is like the area that people conquered later. And so these are people that like moved out there. They wanted a challenge. They wanted some adventure. They're all about their freedom. A great Western leader was Henry Clay. He's from Kentucky. His nickname was the Great Compromiser. And so this is one of the men who, like, every time the North and South sort of get into a beef, he's sort of the one that kind of calms everybody down. What's kind of interesting is he dies about 10 years before the Civil War. So had he lived, maybe we would have been able to solve those problems. Maybe not. Okay, let's take a look at the South. Obviously, their big thing is slavery. They're all about cash crops. You know, we learned tobacco, rice, and indigo. But now, thanks to the cotton gin, cotton becomes the big cash crop. And that's why I put it in all caps here. And the South is pretty much two groups of people, right? It's essentially whites and then enslaved blacks. They hate the federal government. They're all about states' rights. They want a small national government. They want the freedom to own slaves. I know that sounds pretty idiotic, but that's what they want, right? They want the federal government to leave them alone. The most well-known Southern leader is John C. Calhoun. This is a guy that wanted nullification, right? So he's the one that was like, South Carolina should ignore federal laws. He's all about states' rights. He's all about slavery. And what you notice here is the regions are very different. And these three leaders, right, Webster, Calhoun, and Clay, they're very different. But they are able to talk and work together. And so for a while, the regions sort of do get along, but this is going to change in the next couple of weeks. Okay, this is the major issue. Should slavery be allowed to expand? This is going to be the beef. This is what's going to lead us to civil war eventually, right? So the North is like, we don't want slavery. The South is like, yeah, we love slavery. But now you got this new area. And the question is, okay, what do? North doesn't want slavery. South wants it. What about the new area, right? They're fighting over the West. And this is going to be the issue. This is what will lead us to war. It is going to be about slavery. Should we expand slavery or should we get rid of it everywhere? Okay. So this is what I want you to do. I want you to add another key point, call it Check for Understanding, CFU, and I want you to give a quick answer to all four of these questions, right? So just like a couple words, maybe a sentence at most. You might want to take about 5 minutes. Okay? All right, these are some munchkins from a couple years ago. We took them over to UT, and so I'm excited for our end-of-year trip. So hopefully you guys will be going to Washington with us. But anyway, all right, now we're going to go ahead and play Name That Section. Go ahead and number your paper 1 through 12. Okay, so I'm going to go through the sections, write down if it's the North, the South, or the West, and then we'll go back over the answers. All right, so let's take a look. Okay, let's go ahead and take some time to look over the answers. Okay, this is obviously the southern region. This is the western region. They're starting to grow more grain. This is the north, right? Factories give it away. This is also going to be the north, right? Because we see abolitionists, right? So these are the people that want to end slavery. They mostly live in the north. Okay, this is a picture of a plantation, a cotton plantation, manned by slaves. So this is the South. This group of people, they're moving west, the West. Okay, we are no longer slaves. This is going to be the North, right? The North does have free blacks. Republican Party, if you notice, there are African Americans in this picture, and they look like they are not slaves. So this is going to be the North. These are actually the gold diggers in California, right? So the 49ers, after they discovered gold out west in California. Okay, cotton plantation again. This is the South. People moving west as part of Manifest Destiny, the West. And this is slave quarters, right? So this is the South. Okay, now let's go ahead and jump to our independent practice. This is where you're going to spend most of your time today. I want you to go ahead and pick a section of the country and write a letter to the other sections telling them why your section is the better one. So your letter should include the good things about your section and why these things are good. And then I want you to talk about the other sections and why they suck, right? So like talk about slavery and talk about how these differences could lead to war. You're going to spend maybe about 10 to 12 minutes on this. I've even given you an example of how you might start. Okay, go ahead and spend 4 minutes, answer this question in your cool down section. How will sectionalism lead us to war? So how will sectionalism cause civil war? All right, and your life work tonight is the sectionalism reading assignment. Don't get a deduction for it. All right, thank you guys. Have a great day.